The focus of this lesson is creating a lifetime of a loan calculator. So basically, being able to track all of the payments of principal and interest that are made over the life of a loan. If you look closely at this example, you'll notice a few things. Number one, that the loan amount is $100,000. That's the amount being borrowed. Number two, the interest rate is at 5.5%. That the loan is for 5 years, and that the first payment will be made in January of 2017. So the first thing we want to do is we want to calculate the monthly payment. Now we're going to be using our monthly payment formula that we've been using previously, where the monthly payment is equal to the principal times the interest rate over 12 times 1 plus the interest rate over 12 to the power of 12t all over 1 plus the interest rate over 12 to the power of 12t minus 1. Now, typing this in Excel is going to be a little trickier. So what we want to do is I'm going to type out for you what it's going to look like when we type it into the formula before I actually type it in so that you can kind of see more clearly what's happening. Okay, so when we type formulas into Excel and we click in the cell itself, we always start our formula with equals. And that equals just simply tells Excel that you are going to be calculating something. Now, we're going to be calculating this formula here, this monthly payment formula, right? This equals P times R over 12. Now, in Excel, to do multiplication, we must use the asterisk button. So that is Shift 8. R over 12, Shift 8, so our asterisk again, 1 plus R over 12 to the power of 12 times Shift 8, T. Now, right now, all I have is the numerator. Now, the only way for Excel to differentiate between the numerator and the denominator is by putting parentheses around the numerator. As you see here, I have 1 here and 1 here. Okay, then I'm going to put my division. This slash here will do my divide. And then I'm going to put parentheses around the denominator. So you'll notice here that there's a parentheses here. So I'm going to do parentheses for the denominator, but then the parentheses for this expression here. So you will see a double parentheses on the other side. So parentheses, parentheses, 1 plus R over 12 to the power of, which is Shift 6, 12, Shift 8, T minus 1, and then close parentheses. Okay, now you might say, okay, Miss Curtis, how is this going to work, right? This Excel doesn't know what P is, what R is, what T is, etc. No, it does not. So what we're going to do, instead of typing in P, R, and T, we're going to take all of those and we're simply going to type in what cells those values belong to. Now, the beauty of that is by doing that, we will create a calculator so that if we change the loan amount or change the interest rate or change the term of the loan, all of the calculations will adjust. So if we look here, we will see that our principal or our amount that was borrowed is 100,000, and that is located in cell B3. So we're going to put P as B3. Okay, now we see that our interest rate is 5.5%, is located in cell C3. So we're going to change all the R's to C3. C3, C3. And we can see that our time is 5 years, is located in D3. So we're going to change all of those T's to D3. D3 and D3. Okay, now I'm only typing it in this text box really just for a visual so you guys can clearly see what I'm doing. But I think I should be able to just copy and paste this into the monthly payment cell. Let's see if it allows me to do that. It does. It comes out a little strange. There we go. because of the formatting I used over here. So we can see that our monthly payment is going to be about $1,910.12. Now, here we want to calculate the total interest over the life of the loan. Now, if we think about what we did in our previous lesson, we know that we get the total interest by determining how much extra we pay for this amount borrowed above and beyond what we borrowed, right? So we know here that we're borrowing $100,000, and we know that we're going to be paying $1,910.12 every single month for 5 years. So ultimately what we want to do is we want to take our monthly payment, right? And we want to multiply it by 12, right? Because there's 12 months in a year. And then we want to multiply it by the number of years, right? So monthly payment times 12 months per year times the number of year should give us all of the amount we've paid. Now, to get the interest, we need to then remove the loan amount or the principal, right? So this formula here equals M times 12 times T minus P will give us our total interest paid over the life of the loan, right? Monthly payment times 12 months in a year times the number of years we paid it minus how much we actually borrowed. Now, note here, we can't plug in M, T, or P because Excel doesn't know what those are. So we ask ourselves, okay, M, what is M? Well, M, our monthly payment here, is right here in cell E5. So we're going to tell Excel that E5 is our monthly payment. Okay? And then we have 12 times, and then we want our time. And we know that our time is 5 years, and that's located in cell D3. So we're going to put D3, and then minus our principal, or our amount borrowed. We could see that that is in cell B3. Okay, so now we're going to copy this, and we're going to paste that into our interest paid. So we can see that over the lifetime of this loan, we're going to pay $14,606.97 for this borrowed money. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to create what they call an amortization chart. In other words, we want to figure out over the whole life of the loan how much principal is actually paying down the amount you borrowed, and how much interest am I paying each month. Now, do note that regardless of how much we pay of each, the total monthly payment, principal and interest together, will always be this $1,000 or no more than this $1,910.12. So the first thing we want to do is we want to calculate the amount of interest we're going to pay on that first payment. Now, in this case, we're going to be using our simple interest formula, right? Now, if you remember from before, the simple interest formula is that I equals PRT, right? So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to calculate the interest. So remember, we're going to start with equals because that's what tells Excel to do. And we know that our principal is P, right? And then our rate is R and our time is T. But remember, to tell Excel to do it, to multiply, we're going to use the asterisk. So it's equals P, asterisk R, asterisk T. Now, we also remember, well, Excel doesn't know what PR and T are. So what is our principal, right? Our principal is our $100,000 that was borrowed. So that's in cell B3. So we're going to put equals B3, asterisk. Our interest rate is in cell C3, okay? So I'm going to put C3. Now, I'm actually going to do something a little interesting here. I'm not going to get into it just quite yet, but I'm going to put C3, but I'm going to put a $sign before the C and before the 3. So this is going to be important in our next steps, but I just want to show you right now because it's going to be useful later. So $C, $3, it will still give us this cell, but it's going to do something special for us in a little bit. Times our time, which is in cell, or we're not going to do 5 years, sorry. We're only doing 1 month payment. So times, and then we're going to put 1/12, which is 1/12 of the year. Because remember, in the simple interest formula, it takes in the number of years. So 1/12 of a year or 1 month. Okay, so I'm going to take this with the equals, And I'm going to copy that into this formula right here. And I'm just going to paste that. So we can see that we're going to pay $458.33 in interest that first month. Now do note that the payment itself has to be this $1,910.12, right? So if I know the payment has to be that amount, I know that my principal or amount I'm going to pay is going to be that amount minus the interest. So I'm going to just simply click on the monthly payment, right? But just like before, I know this seems a little interesting, I'm going to put that $sign in front of the E and the 5. Now, in Excel, what that means is this cell will always be fixed, that this monthly payment is never changing. So I'm going to take that monthly payment and I'm going to subtract the interest. So I'm literally just clicking on that cell and I'm going to hit enter. Now you will notice if you add these two numbers, it will give you that total payment. Now we are going to have a new balance. So I'm going to get equals. And remember before, we owed 100,000. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to subtract what I paid in principal. Now remember, principal is the only part that pays down the loan. Interest does not pay down the loan. So I'm going to subtract the principal. Okay. Now I'm going to repeat the process. Okay. So once again, I'm going to do simple interest. So equals, but this time the principal is not 100,000. I only owe 98,000. So I'm going to click here, times our rate, which is this one here, and it's going to stay the same. So you're going to notice up here, I'm going to put that $sign around the C and the 3. So it's going to kind of be around the C. So $sign C, $sign 3. And then I'm going to multiply by that 1/12, right? So 1 out of 12 months in the year. Okay, and I'm going to notice that the interest is actually less this month because I'm paying interest on a lower balance, right? I'm going to get my principal just like I did before. So equals, right? The monthly payment minus the interest paid, right? So I see that I'm paying this much off the principal this month. Now I'm going to get my balance again, and I'm going to take how much I owed last month after last month's payment, and I'm going to subtract how much I paid this month. All right. Now I want you to see what's about to happen. So because I have formulas in all of these, and I'm actually going to go, I didn't do this quite yet. I'm going to make sure that the cells that are fixed have $signs around them. So if you look at my principal one here, you'll see that it says E5 minus D10. I'm going to put the $signs around the E. And you're going to notice that I did it around the C as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my formula down. And you're going to notice that it's going to calculate without me having to type the formulas in. And I'm going to go all the way down to December of 2021, which should be my last payment. You'll notice it is, right? At that point, I have no balance left. All right, you'll know you've done it correctly if you do get that zero balance on that last month. All right, now, once you have this completely filled out, I want you to give it a try. So you're going to notice that right at the bottom of the Excel file, there is a tab that says Your Turn. Go ahead and click on that tab, read the question, and give it a try. Submit your work to Canvas when you're done.